Hello and welcome to the channel. Call of Duty trailer recklessly promotes conspiracy theories, apparently. Now, it's really important to note, as well as you, YouTube reviewer, watching this video, is that the Call of Duty trailer in question, and what this article is specifically pertaining to, is actually a former KGB agent warning the world about what they were taught as KGB agents. So there's no conspiracy theories. It's quite literally, hey, this is what we were taught. Please learn from it. Please be warned. There's nothing conspiratorial about it. It is quite literally a lesson and a word of warning. But even still, YouTube reviewer, you will probably demonetize this video for some reason. And anyway, this article is on Kotaku, and it's just trash. Like, it's a bad article. It's done in bad faith. It is so disingenuous, it's unbelievable. And yes, other people would have spoken about this, I'm sure. I mean, Ian Walker, let's have a look at you. Let's have a look at what else you've written. I mean, Moon was pretty confusing until developers tweeted the manual. Soccer games, I will never forgive Capcom. I mean, it all seems pretty benign, right? All of his stuff is pretty benign. Until we get to his recent one. And again, this is all pretty benign stuff. It's all pretty basic, but maybe he wasn't getting enough, money. So he chose to up the ante a little bit and write nonsense. And let's just go through it, right? Because it is total nonsense. Like absolute garbage. Trash article. So Call of Duty Black Ops debut trailer, which has already attracted controversy, gives a lot of airtime to Soviet defector. So again, note how he's setting him up. He's a Soviet defector, right? Yuri Bezmenov. I mean, there you go. There you go. He's a Soviet defector and he's warning the world. And his views which have, in recent years, become a dangerous rallying cry. Why? How have they become a dangerous rallying cry? They haven't at all. What are you on about? The teaser, which was released last week to hype up the more recent reveal, intersperses stock footage of major world events with a 1984 interview of Bezmenov. I think it's Bezmenov, isn't it? Who claimed to have been an informant for the KGB before defecting to the US. Now, during the interview, he describes the Soviet Union's alleged use of active measures that, in theory, are meant to destabilize opponents without direct military conflict by way of changing a society's power structure and economy. In short, Bezmenov's suggestion in the full interview is that extending equality to the United States non-white, non-male population made it ripe for Soviet invasion. He doesn't mention anything like that in the interview at all. That is not the suggestion of the interview. That is not the suggestion at all. There's no mention. I don't think there's even any mention of the United States. Nothing to do with non-white. Nothing to do with non-male either. Where are you getting this from, Walker? What are you doing? Seriously. Now, the official Call of Duty trailer refers to Bezmenov's claims as a chilling warning and implores viewers to know your history, which I don't see what's wrong with knowing your history. I mean, you know, seldom do people get taught or even know about the Barbary slave trade. That's something to look into. You know, we keep banging on about BLM and things like that, and yeah, that's fine, but have a look at the Barbary slave trade. Know your history with that. Know your history of white slavery. Because that was barbaric. That was awful. Look into that. You'll enjoy that. And then it's interesting, isn't it? So the article says, so obviously it implores viewers to know your history, which sure feels like a tactic or a tacit endorsement of the man's deeply flawed ideology. But what? What? It wasn't his ideology. He was warning the world. Hey, this is what Soviets teach us. This is what's taught to KGB agents. Probably should know this, guys. Learn from it so they don't come in. What? Now, the person interviewing Bezmenov in the footage is far-right conspiracy theorist G. Edward Griffin. It's not relevant. All of this part of this article is not relevant at all, actually. You know, it's not relevant in the slightest, because that's not the information being given. Nothing's being given from the interviewer. It's the interviewee. You fool. You absolute fool. There's not even any point in reading it. But it goes on and it says, it makes sense that Griffin would peddle Bezmenov's claims about Soviet interference by way of social progress without any critical analysis. In the Call of Duty trailer, Activision presents Bezmenov's word bereft of this important context. It's not important context. It's not important context at all. But if we're gonna talk about important context, why are BLM supporters so high and mighty with respect to Marx? You know, Karl Marx, when he promoted slavery, you know, he was big proponent of slaves. Liked him. Why don't we talk about that as important context? We're not going to do that? No? Oh, right, okay. Yeah, no, fine. But that is actually important context. This is not important at all, because we're not learning anything from Griffin, are we? We're learning from the ex-KGB guy. Huh? You know what? It's quite literally... You know what this is, right? A great example to give of how moronic this is someone coming back from being held hostage or something like that, right? Being held hostage, brutally abused, and then going, please, learn from me, learn how I got this, and then going, yeah, but you were abused. Like, how does that have any relevance to it? You know, a KGB defector is coming to warn everyone, and we're like, nah. It just happens to be interviewed by someone who's a conspiracy theorist, so we're like, nah. It doesn't remove any legitimacy behind his points at all. Unbelievable. As the name suggests, Black Ops Cold War deals with the decades-long struggle between the US and the Soviet Union, which engaged in various forms of political and proxy warfare as the globe's prevailing superpowers after World War II. While Bezmenov's warnings seem like obvious fodder for amping up that conflict in the game, his appearance in the game's advertisement has functioned as a sort of dog whistle to legions of reactionaries who consider attempts at establishing social equity to be proof of a far-right conspiracy theory known as cultural Marxism. Right. Cultural Marxism is a modern spin on the notion of cultural Bolshevism, which was a tactic used by the early Nazi Party in Germany to discredit supposed dissidents, usually among the Jewish population, as was its wont, as dangerous to so-called traditional values. In this way, diversity and societal growth away from prejudice were treated as divisive and insidious, clearing a path for the country's eventual acceptance of Nazism. The falsehood of cultural Marxism has been used ever since to embolden a growing white nationalist movement in blaming society's ills on the fictitious boogeyman of marginalised populations. That is not how people use that. That is not how people use that at all. This is so far off base, it is unreal. Now, the term more recently gained popularity in gaming circles thanks to what else? Of course! It's got to be Gamergate, isn't it? Of course. To Gamergate, the spectre of cultural Marxism is routinely conjured to decry anything that doesn't adhere to this straight, white, cis male perspective that has dominated the video game industry for decades, such as the introduction of playable female characters in Battlefield. Oh my god, this is such trash. Anyway, so it continues on, and this is the part that's quite comical, right? So, while never invoking cultural Marxism by name, Bezmenov's warnings ran parallel to its core tenets. In his various lectures and interviews, Bezmenov said that any attempt to establish social equity... So there you go. So at the start you lied, and then you've owned up to the fact that you lied by actually saying where he had said these things in future. Unreal. So he didn't say it in the trailer, did he? The trailer doesn't say that at all, does it? No, it doesn't. And now you're saying, yeah, but he did in lectures and interviews. Right, well, but they didn't use it, did they? You dickhead. It's such trash, isn't it? Absolute trash. Now, in an August 20 video entitled "The New Call of Duty Game Mainstreams Yuri Bezmenov," Benjamin is absolutely giddy by the prospect of impressionable viewers being taken in by Bezmenov's cultural Marxism adjacent ideology. And they're talking about Carl Benjamin here. But that's none of his... I watched that video. None of what he said was in any way far right. It was quite centrist, to be honest. And this is the problem, isn't it? When you're quite central, you get roped in to far right ideology for some bizarre reason nowadays. It's almost like people have just completely... they're just defunct of any common sense and any ability to have a reasoned discussion. Hearing something from a former KGB agent as a word of warning about what they were taught is very, very smart lessons to listen to. That's smart. Listening to what they were taught is good to do. Why? Because you know it a bit more then, don't you? There's nothing negative about that. There's nothing negative about that at all. You know, to learn about that, it's a very smart thing to do. I don't understand why anyone would shy away from that. Anyway, it's total nonsense. Like, the whole thing is garbage. It's a garbage article. Kotaku, I don't understand how you're even functioning as a website anymore. You're trash. Anyway, this video will likely be demonetized, I'm sure. Because apparently that's what happens nowadays. But don't listen to this nonsense. You know, this is an extreme way of thinking. To block yourself off from any information that you disagree with, or that even is just on the fringe of what you disagree with, is extreme. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's extreme. You know, these are the same kind of people that would berate you if you had Hitler's book on your bookshelf. There's nothing wrong with taking ideas, well, not taking ideas, but there's nothing wrong with reading the thought process of people. You know, it's important to learn. It's very important to learn. You know, and even if you are left-leaning, read a right-leaning book once in a while. Makes you a better person. Makes you more well-rounded. And even still, makes you at least makes you more interesting, because you can have a conversation with people then, can't you? Stop this weird tribalistic attitude where, you know, it's just us versus them. This comes from both sides. It's just garbage. Anyway, this is trash. Anyone who believes in this is trash. Take care.